Hey everyone, it's Blair here at Time Trades. Thanks for joining again this weekend. Today is Saturday, February 19th, 2022, and this is the weekly video. So we're going to start with the usual suspects, the stock indexes, and review a very interesting week, and then look forward to what we can anticipate happening in the next few weeks. So starting with the Qs as usual, we had a very bearish finish to the week, and you can see how things turned around just as we exited this Gann wave yellow period. Again, very similar to the last yellow period back in January 20th. And in fact, there's a lot of parallels with what happened back then, because back then, January 21st was monthly options expiration as well. That was very bearish as well, similar to what happened yesterday, Friday the 18th. We've got the first trading day after options expiration being Tuesday this coming week because of a holiday in the United States on Monday. And with the extra day for people to look at headlines and get concerned, given the bearish momentum heading into the weekend and the worsening geopolitical situation, we're anticipating a bearish open on Tuesday. And that's just not opinion based on news headlines. That's also backed up by the probabilities that we see within time trades. So as we look at the indexes, we see a 25% probability of a 1 standard deviation down move happening on Tuesday, and that's in the Qs. But then in the following week, starting March 1st and 2nd, we're starting to see some bullish momentum return. And then we see another potential move down with some 2 standard deviation moves right around March 16th and 17th here into a pivot low. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of volatility moving forward. Let's go and take a look at some of the context and price information using our updated decision-making model here. So first, I'll review some of the updates to the decision-making model that I've made based on learnings over the last little bit and enhancements to time trades, starting with the magic level. So a week ago, we added magic levels into the time trade script in TradingView. Now, these are levels that are based on a combination of Fibonacci and Pythagorean levels, and they've proven to be very important in helping to establish support and reversal levels. I've also added Heikin-Ashi bars to the framework as well, because I found that those tend to filter out a lot of the noise in the market, and that filtering is really important when you're trying to make consistent, repeatable decisions. So we've got an upgraded price model in our framework. The context remains the same. We still look at cheat code time periods, short-term waves, and Gann waves when establishing context. And then finally, the least important part of the whole model is the daily forecast. These are probabilities of up days and down days and pivots. Okay, so let's take a look at what we see right now in the Qs in TradingView. So this is QQQ daily, and we've been tracking this yellow arrow here. I've been tweeting this out with a few updates. So far, it's been tracking fairly well, I guess. There was one miss here on this pivot low a day. This pivot high over here, it caught a green day, not the highest high, but I did give a 3-day range, so that actually worked out. And we're heading now towards what's likely to be another pivot low. I don't know if it'll be the pivot low, but it's likely to be a pivot low early next week on the 22nd, 23rd, or 24th. We see a number of candidate days there for the low next week. But at the same time, we're also seeing some evidence of bullishness returning that we have to be aware of. So it's important not to over-rotate on the bearish perspective. I feel like we are close to the end of this bearish part of the cycle. However, at the end is also where the big capitulation moves go, and those are the ones that often inflict the most pain. So even though we might be close to the end of the cycle in terms of time, we may not be near the end of the cycle yet in terms of price. Okay, so based on this context, we are anticipating a low here in line with this teal line. The teal lines, again, they tend to identify major pivots. So that's something to be aware of. And that's just based on visual inspection of what's happened with prior in prior time cycles. So if you're curious how I'm displaying these, I'm using the time trades script, and this is part of the time trade service. The time trade script provides the cheat code vertical lines, the purple and the green lines, as well as the magic levels, which are the orange and the white horizontal price lines. Okay, so with that intro, let's go back and take a look at the daily forecasts that we have within the Time Trades web application. And we've got that 25% probability of a 1 standard deviation move down happening on Monday. Let's see what the spiders are telling us here. Within the spiders, we've got a similar probability of a move down. In this case, it's 56% probability on Tuesday, so higher probability. And we've got a pivot low forecast for March 4th. So looks like Tuesday is going to be a big down day, but that isn't necessarily the lowest low. We could continue to trend down to the pivot low March 4th. You will see these days pop up quite a bit, 22, 23, 24 of February, as well as March 4. They do tend to appear quite a bit in the forecast. Let's look at IWM. IWM has a 27% probability of a down day on Tuesday. But after that, there's kind of a steady trend of bullishness with these 20%-ish probabilities of up days moving up to like 29% in early March. So IWM is looking a little bit less bearish than the spiders and the Qs. If we go and look at the diamonds to see what it's telling us, it's not telling us very much. So there's not much that we can learn from this forecast here, other than there's the big features of the forecast are a big up day on March 16th and some pivot highs in April. These are very confident pivot highs. So there's a nice confluence of cycles happening over here. Okay, so let's peel the onion a little bit on the Qs and take a look at the big components of it. We can start with Apple. Apple has had a very clear forecast for a number of weeks now, and it's forecasting a bad week next week for Apple, peaking February 23rd. That's the biggest probability of a down day. And there's pivot lows here on the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, as well as a second batch of pivot lows in early March, peaking on March 4th. Okay. After March 4th, it looks like the probability of down days reduces somewhat. And then we actually start to see some up days come back in April. So that's a good rough roadmap of what we can expect in price in Apple. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon has a big down day on Tuesday, 48% probability of a 2 standard deviation move. And if you're curious, a 2 standard deviation move in Amazon is 12% when compared with the bar 5 days prior. Okay, so really what we're saying is if we find the bar 1, 2, 3, 4 days plus the current bar, So this closed 31.30 and subtract 12% for that. You'll get a rough price target for Tuesday in Amazon. So that is aligned with the QQQ forecast for a down day early next week. Let's take a look at Netflix, see what we can learn here. Netflix has, again, a high probability of a 1 standard deviation down day, 91% on Tuesday, but we see some strength, some potential strength here with the 2 standard deviation up day on February 24th. Again, I'm a little wary of some of these one-day wonders. I mean, it may happen, but just these standalone forecast bars do not make a trend. I'm a lot more interested in trading things like this, where we see a cluster of up days, as well as an increasing probability of up days, and complemented by a pivot high in the near future. So even though this might turn into a big up day, this is something that I'm a lot more comfortable trading. Okay, so that's Netflix. Let's look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA, again, confirming slightly different dates. November 24th is a big down day in NVIDIA. But then we've got that March 16th pivot showing up. So that could be the lowest low in this part of the cycle. So even though we're getting to the period that's after the teal bar line, the teal bar line in trading view is March 23rd. And we're assuming that this aligns with a major pivot low. It doesn't have to be a major pivot low, right? The major pivot low could occur later. It could occur over here on March 16th. So we need to be nimble and not get stuck in a mental rut in our positions and just kind of go with price. All right, Tesla. Tesla has an interesting forecast, a little different from the others. It's got the same probability of down days next week. But then we start to see a pretty strong cluster of bullish up days starting March 16th. So March 16th, again, is a key date. And that looks like it might be a significant pivot where kind of a new regime takes place and stocks start to recover from this move down that they're in right now. Okay, so that's our review of stocks. Let's take a quick look at crypto here. We're going to start with Bitcoin. I'm going to give an update of a tweet I shared a while ago. And in that tweet, I shared a little discovery that halfway between the purple periods here, it looks like that's when Bitcoin tends to make its big moves. So we've got a big move down starting January 4th, and then a big move down started January 20th, and then a big move up started February 3rd. And based on that, we were expecting a big move up starting February 17th. So instead, we got a big move down. But the good news is we got a big move. So we know that halfway between the teal lines here, similar to halfway between purple and teal and purple, this still remains an important inflection point, right? We guessed wrong on direction. That's okay. It happens. And however, the takeaway here is that that halfway through these periods, we still get nice moves, right? In this case, the pattern changed on us. Instead of getting a big move up, we got a big move down. That's all right. And the other key takeaway here is that the magic level at 39.6 is doing a great job supporting price, okay? So basically Bitcoin stopped right where the magic level thought it should stop. So it's respecting that magic level at 39.6. We still might see a late push up into the second tail line here. But then it kind of looks a little bit like the pattern is changing. So we're seeing a change in that pattern. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the rest of this cycle, to see what happens as we head into February 24th, and whether this pattern repeats itself moving forward, or do we set ourselves up for a new kind of pattern, because these things don't stay active forever. What are the time trades daily forecast telling us in Bitcoin? Well, we've got a pretty steady background of bullish forecasts here, a fair bit of up pressure heading into early March. There's a smattering of pivot highs and 2 standard deviation down days, peaking at about 18% probability here on February 26th. So there may be some lows, or at least certainly some more red bars. But on the whole, the up pressure is definitely outnumbering the down pressure as we look at the forecast. And we also have a nice increase in up pressure as we head into this pivot high here in early April. So on the whole, it's quite bullish for Bitcoin. And I would continue to look for opportunities to enter with low leverage, so you can, absorb some of the heat without getting stopped out, and position yourself for what looks like an extended period of rising prices. So that's Bitcoin. Let's go and take a look at Ethereum. Now, when it comes to Ethereum, the dominant feature here is a 69% probability of a pivot low on February 24th. So there may be an opportunity to get to acquire some more Ethereum at a good price in and around this area. I also noticed there's some isolated big down days here, but certainly after mid-March, March 14th or so, there's an extended bullish run is forecast for Ethereum, with a couple of peaks. One is around early April and the other is around early May. So again, to me, this looks like a good opportunity here to pick up some Ethereum on a discount. Again, don't overdo the leverage, because you'll want to be able to hold this for multiple months. It looks like we've got 1, 2, 3 surges forecast in Ethereum in the next few months. Let's take a look at Cardano. Cardano is kind of similar to Ethereum, with a big pivot low February 24th, followed by some up pressure here in March, up pressure in April, and another wave in May. So again, Cardano looking fairly bullish, but just be aware of these isolated probabilities of down days here. Nothing ever goes straight up. So if you're able to absorb the corrections along the way, it looks like a good hold for the next few months. So let's close the call with a look at some of our Indian stocks. We're going to start by looking at EICHER Motors. EICHER, there we go. Okay, so EICHER Motors has a nice bullish trend forecast here. We've got, for the next couple of weeks, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 big up days that are forecast all over about 50%. So pretty bullish moves in the forecast here for EICHER Motors. Let's go and take a look at ASIANPAINT. It's another one that we've been tracking. ASIANPAINT is looking fairly bearish over the next couple of weeks. Again, aligning with the Gann wave, blue period we've got lots of down pressure forecast for the next couple of weeks. And after that, there's the down pressure is reduced, but it's still fairly frequent, and we don't see any major pivot lows until kind of late April. So that might be something to consider if you're looking for an opportunity to pick up Asian paints on a long-term investment. Mid to late April looks like a good opportunity to do that, because we start to see the up pressure return in late May. And finally, let's take a look at DIVIS Labs. And DIVIS Labs has a pretty bearish forecast with a combination of both 1 and 2 standard deviation down moves here for the next month, really. So that is not looking very bullish at all. Also notable is the complete absence of any forecast up moves here for DIVIS Labs. So this looks like a good opportunity to establish a short position. All right, so that's it for this week's video. I hope you all had a great week trading, and I wish you good trading next week. Thank you.